Cheating wife story. 2 years of lies exposed in one heartbreaking night. She looked me in the eyes, raised her glass and said, "I've been cheating on you for 2 years. I'm leaving." That wasn't just a toast. It was the end of everything I thought I knew. Welcome to Viora, where we unravel the raw, heartbreaking truths of love and betrayal. If this cheating wife story grips you, hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to Viora for more stories that cut straight to the heart. My name's Nathan Harper, and this is my story. A true cheating story that turned my world upside down. 5 years ago, life felt like a postcard. I was 36, running a successful chain of artisanal coffee shops in Charleston, South Carolina. My wife, Emily Vaughn, was the woman I'd built my life around. We met in college, her with her infectious smile and a knack for making everyone feel like they belonged. We had a charming house with a wraparound porch, a 4-year-old son named Liam, and a marriage that seemed unbreakable. Emily worked as a marketing consultant, always juggling clients with this effortless grace. Our friends called us the perfect couple, and I believed it. I used to think loyalty was our foundation. This is my cheating wife story, and it's nothing like the Reddit cheating stories I'd scrolled past. It started with small things. Emily began staying late at the office, her phone buzzing at odd hours. She'd brush it off. Client deadlines, she said, her voice just a touch too casual. I wanted to trust her. I'd read about cheating wives and thought, not us. But doubt is a quiet poison. One night, I saw a text light up her screen. "Miss you already." No name, just a number. My stomach twisted, but when I asked, she laughed it off. "Just a client being overly friendly," she said, kissing my cheek. I wanted to believe her, but the seed was planted. That's when I hired Jack Ramsey, a private investigator. I wasn't proud of it. I felt like I was betraying her just by doubting her. But I needed truth, not peace. Jack was discreet, a former cop with a knack for blending in. 2 weeks later, he handed me a folder. Inside were photos, Emily at a hotel, arm in arm with a man. His name was Ryan Kessler, a graphic designer she'd worked with on a campaign. There were texts, too. "Can't wait to see you," she'd written. "Nathan's working late again." Each word was a knife. I'd been living in a toxic relationship story, blind to the wife affair exposed right under my nose. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I planned. Our 10th anniversary was coming up, and Emily thought I was pulling out all the stops for a romantic night. She wasn't wrong. I rented a private dining room at the Magnolia, our favorite restaurant, where we'd had our first date. I set the table with candles, her favorite peonies, and a playlist of songs from our early days. I wanted her to feel safe, to think she was still in control. But this wasn't about romance. It was about truth. The night arrived, and Emily looked stunning in a navy dress. Her hair swept up like she knew this was a big moment. Liam was with my parents, so it was just us. We sat across from each other, the candlelight flickering between us. I poured her wine, my hands steady despite the storm inside me. "To us," I said, raising my glass. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. That's when she said it. "Nathan, I need to tell you something." Her voice was calm, rehearsed. "I've been seeing someone else for 2 years. I'm not happy anymore. I want a divorce." The room felt like it was shrinking. I'd read about wife cheating confessions online, but nothing prepared me for this. My heart pounded, but I didn't break. I'd known this was coming. Jack's folder was tucked in my briefcase, but I didn't need it yet. Instead, I leaned back, my face unreadable. "Is that all?" I asked. Her eyes widened, like she'd expected me to crumble. "Nathan, I'm sorry, but I've been honest," she said. Honest. The word burned. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just pressed a button on my phone under the table. The door opened, and Ryan Kessler walked in, his face pale. Emily froze. "What is this?" she stammered. I looked at her, then at him. "Ryan, thanks for joining us," I said, my voice steady. "Emily's been telling you she's trapped in a loveless marriage, hasn't she? And Emily, you told me you were just tired." Funny how the truth changes depending on who's listening. Ryan's jaw dropped. You told me you were separated, he said to Emily, his voice shaking. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I slid Jack's folder across the table: photos, texts, hotel receipts. This isn't one of those cheating stories you read on Reddit, I said. This is real, and you both played a part. Emily's face crumpled, but I didn't feel victory. I felt empty. Ryan stormed out, muttering something about being used. Emily sat there, staring at the folder like it was a bomb. Nathan, I didn't mean, she started, but I cut her off. You meant every choice you made, I said. I stood, leaving her at the table, the candles still burning, the peonies wilting. I walked out into the Charleston night, the air heavy with jasmine and betrayal. That night I didn't go home. I checked into a hotel, my mind racing. I thought about Liam, about the life we'd built. I caught her cheating, but what did it cost me? My trust was gone, shredded by her wife betrayal confession. I scrolled through my phone, landing on a Reddit thread about cheating wives. The stories felt hollow now. Mine was worse. I wasn't just a husband. I was a father, a man who'd believed in forever. The next few weeks were a blur. Emily moved out, staying with her sister, Hannah. I heard whispers: her job let her go, her friends stopped calling. Social media turned on her, with screenshots of her lies spreading like wildfire. I didn't start it, but I didn't stop it either. Was that revenge? I don't know. I was too busy keeping things normal for Liam, taking him to soccer practice, reading him bedtime stories. But every night, alone, I wrestled with the pain. Had I missed signs? Was I not enough? The emotional cheating story wasn't just hers. It was mine, too, in the way I'd ignored the cracks. Then I met Grace Sullivan, our neighbor. She was a single mom, a nurse with a warm laugh and a way of making life feel lighter. She'd bring Liam cookies, ask about my coffee shops. One day, she knocked on my door with a casserole. You look like you could use a home-cooked meal, she said. We talked, and for the first time in months I smiled. Grace wasn't a replacement for Emily. She was a reminder that I could feel again. But Emily wasn't done. She started texting, apologizing, begging to talk. I made a mistake, she wrote. A mistake. 2 years wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. I didn't respond, but her words haunted me. What if I'd confronted her sooner? Could I have saved us? I was living a husband revenge story, but revenge didn't feel good. Felt like losing her all over again. One evening, Ryan showed up at my shop. He looked wrecked. I didn't know, he said. She lied to me, too. I believed him. He wasn't the villain, just another piece in Emily's game. We're both fools, I said, handing him a coffee. He nodded and left. I didn't hate him. I didn't forgive him either. I just wanted to move on. But moving on wasn't simple. Liam asked why mommy wasn't home. My parents pushed me to fix things for his sake. And Emily's texts kept coming, each one a dagger. I stood at a crossroads. Fight for my son's family or let go of a toxic relationship story that was killing me. The rain outside my window mirrored the chaos in my head. What was the right choice? The rain hadn't stopped, a relentless drizzle that soaked Charleston's cobblestone streets and mirrored the weight in my chest. I sat in my coffee shop's back office, the scent of roasted beans no longer comforting. Liam's question from last night, "Why isn't mommy home?" looped in my mind. I didn't have an answer that wouldn't break his heart. Emily's betrayal wasn't just a cheating wife story. It was a fracture in our family, and I was left picking up the pieces. Weeks turned into months, and the silence between Emily and me grew heavier. Her texts slowed, but each one carried the same plea. Can we talk? I'm so sorry. I deleted them, but not before they burrowed into my thoughts. I'd read enough Reddit cheating stories to know apologies often hid selfish motives. Still, doubt gnawed at me. What if she was genuinely remorseful? What if I was shutting the door on Liam's chance at a whole family? The emotional cheating story wasn't just about her lies. It was about my struggle to trust again. Grace became a quiet anchor. She didn't push, didn't pry. She'd drop by with Liam's favorite oatmeal cookies or invite us for pizza with her daughter, Mia. One evening, as the kids played in her backyard, she handed me a beer. You don't have to carry it all, Nathan, she said, her eyes soft but steady. I wanted to tell her everything, about the wife affair exposed, the caught cheating reaction that left me hollow. But the words stuck. Instead, I nodded, the bottle cold against my palm. Her presence was a reminder that life could be gentle again. But I wasn't ready to let go of the pain. Then came the first twist. I got a call from Hannah, Emily's sister. Her voice was tight, like she was forcing the words out. Nathan, Emily's in the hospital. My heart lurched, not out of love but reflex. 10 years of marriage don't vanish overnight. What happened? I asked. Hannah hesitated. She overdosed. Pills. She's stable now, but she's asking for you. The air left my lungs. A wife-cheating confession was one thing. This was something else. I didn't want to go, but Liam's face flashed in my mind. If Emily didn't make it, how would I explain it to him? At the hospital, Emily looked small in the sterile bed, her face pale, her eyes red from crying. Nathan, she whispered, reaching for my hand. I didn't take it. Why? I asked, my voice low. She swallowed, tears spilling. I lost everything. My job, my friends, you. I couldn't face it. Her words hit like a punch. But not because I pitied her. She'd built this ruin, brick by brick, with every lie. You didn't lose Liam, I said. But you chose to hurt him, too. She sobbed, but I felt distant, like I was watching someone else's tragedy. I left without promising to return. This wasn't just a cheating wife caught. It was the wreckage of her choices. Back home, I wrestled with what to tell Liam. He was too young to understand infidelity story time, but he deserved some truth. I sat him down, his small hands clutching a stuffed dinosaur. Mommy's sick, I said. But she's getting help. We're gonna be okay. Just you and me. He nodded, but his eyes searched mine for something I couldn't give certainty. That night, I lay awake, the rain tapping the window. Had I been too hard on Emily? Was I punishing her for a toxic relationship story we'd both let fester? The next curveball came from an unexpected source. My best friend, Connor Tate. We'd known each other since high school, shared beers and dreams, stood up at each other's weddings. He showed up at my shop one morning, looking like he hadn't slept. I need to tell you something, he said, his voice unsteady. My gut clenched. What? He ran a hand through his hair. I knew about Emily and Ryan. Not the whole time, but a few months before you found out. I saw them at a bar. I didn't say anything because I thought it was a one-time thing. The air thickened. My best friend, the guy I'd trusted with my life, had kept this secret. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. He looked away. I didn't want to ruin what you had. I thought she'd stop. I laughed, bitter. You thought wrong. Connor's betrayal stung differently than Emily's. Hers was a knife to the heart. His was a slow poison. I didn't yell. I just pointed to the door. Get out. He left, and I stood there, surrounded by coffee bags and silence, wondering who else had known. This wasn't just a husband revenge story. It was a reckoning with everyone I'd trusted. I thought about the caught her cheating reaction I'd had at the anniversary dinner, how controlled I'd been. Now, control felt like a lie. I wanted to scream, to break something, but Liam was waiting at home. Grace noticed the change in me. One evening, as we watched the kids chase fireflies, she touched my arm. You're carrying a lot, she said. I told her about Connor, about Emily's overdose, about the weight of being Liam's everything. She listened, her eyes never leaving mine. You're not alone, Nathan, she said. You don't have to be perfect. For the first time, I let myself lean into her words, into the possibility of something new. But the guilt followed. Could I move on while Emily was still a ghost in my life? Then Emily reached out again, not with a text but a letter. It arrived in a plain envelope, her handwriting shaky. Nathan, I'm in rehab. I'm trying to be better. For Liam. For myself. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to know I'm sorry. Not just for Ryan, but for every moment I took you for granted. I read it under the dim light of my kitchen, the words blurring. Part of me wanted to burn it to erase her from my story. But another part, the part that remembered our first dance, our son's first steps, hesitated. Was this a genuine wife betrayal confession, or another manipulation? I'd seen enough cheating stories on Reddit to know the difference wasn't always clear. I didn't write back, but I kept the letter. Life moved forward, uneven but steady. My coffee shops thrived, and I poured myself into Liam's world, school plays, soccer games, late-night talks about dinosaurs. Grace became a constant, her laughter a balm. One night, she invited me to a local art fair, just the two of us. We wandered through stalls, her hand brushing mine, and for a moment, I forgot the pain. But as we stood under a string of fairy lights, she asked, "Are you ready to let someone in again?" The question hung there, heavy with possibility. I wanted to say yes, but Emily's letter, Connor's betrayal, and Liam's needs held me back. Then came the final twist of this chapter. At Liam's school play, I saw Emily. She was in the back row, thinner, her eyes nervous but clear. She didn't approach, just watched Liam on stage, clapping when he took his bow. After, she caught my eye and nodded, a silent acknowledgement. I didn't move toward her, but I didn't look away either. She left before I could decide what to feel. Seeing her there, not as the woman who'd shattered me but as Liam's mother, stirred something I couldn't name. Was this the start of forgiveness, or just another layer in our divorce after cheating? That night, I sat on my porch, the air thick with summer heat. Grace's question echoed, "Are you ready?" alongside Emily's letter and Liam's innocent trust. I'd lived through a cheating wife Reddit saga, but this wasn't a story I could scroll past. It was my life, messy and unresolved. The stars above offered no answers, just a quiet challenge to keep going. What did moving on really mean? And could I do it without losing myself? The summer heat lingered in Charleston, heavy and unyielding, much like the questions that clung to me. Emily's brief appearance at Liam's school play had cracked something open. Not hope, not anger, but a restless need to understand what came next. I wasn't the man who'd sat across from her at that anniversary dinner, calmly dismantling her lies. I wasn't the man who'd sent Connor away, betrayed by his silence. I was someone new, shaped by this cheating wife story, standing at the edge of a life I hadn't chosen but had to navigate. Liam's 5th birthday was approaching, and I wanted it to be perfect. I planned a small party at our house, balloons, a dinosaur cake, his friends running wild in the backyard. Grace offered to help, her steady presence a contrast to the chaos in my head. As we hung streamers, she caught me staring at the spot where Emily and I used to dance during summer barbecues. "You okay?" she asked, her voice gentle. I nodded, but the truth was messier. Emily's letter from rehab sat in my desk drawer, unopened since I'd read it. Her nod at the play haunted me. Was she trying to rebuild? Or was this another act in our toxic relationship story? The party was a success, Liam's laughter filling the gaps in my heart. But as the kids played, I noticed a car parked across the street. Emily's car. She didn't get out, just sat there, watching. My pulse quickened. Part of me wanted to confront her, to demand why she kept hovering at the edges of our lives. But Liam's squeals stopped me. This was his day, not hers. I turned away, focusing on cutting cake, but the weight of her presence lingered. This wasn't just a wife-cheating confession anymore. It was a question of whether she could ever be part of Liam's world again. Days later, I got a call from Hannah. "Emily's out of rehab," she said. "She's staying with me, trying to get her life together. She wants to see Liam." My first instinct was to say no. I'd read enough Reddit cheating stories to know how these reunions could spiral. False promises, more pain. But Liam deserved a mother, not a ghost. "Supervised visits," I said finally. "At a park, not our house." Hannah agreed, her relief palpable. I hung up, my chest tight. Was I opening a door I'd regret? The first visit was at a playground near the Battery. Liam clung to my hand, unsure, as Emily approached. She looked healthier, her eyes clearer, but the woman I'd loved was a stranger now. "Hi, buddy," she said, kneeling to Liam's level. He hesitated, then ran to the swings, calling for her to push him. I watched from a bench, every muscle tense. She was careful, patient, but I saw the strain in her smile. When she glanced at me, I looked away. This wasn't forgiveness. It was necessity. Grace noticed the shift in me that evening. We were at her place, the kids asleep upstairs, a glass of wine between us. "You're carrying her again," she said. Not accusing, just stating. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. "It's for Liam. But every time I see her, it's like reliving the wife affair exposed all over again." Grace leaned closer, her hand resting on mine. "You're allowed to protect yourself, Nathan. You don't owe her your pain." Her words were a lifeline, but I wasn't sure I could grab it. Not yet. Then came a new twist, sharp and unexpected. I was at my coffee shop, reviewing expansion plans, when a woman walked in, Lydia Brooks, Emily's former boss. She'd fired Emily after the affair went public, but her expression now was uneasy. "Nathan, can we talk?" she asked. We sat in a corner booth, the hum of espresso machines masking our words. "I owe you an apology," she said. "I knew about Emily and Ryan. Not everything, but enough. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to lose her. She was good at her job." My blood ran cold. Another betrayal, this time from someone I'd barely considered. "Why tell me now?" I asked, my voice low. She looked down. "Guilt. And I heard she's trying to come back. I thought you deserved to know the whole truth." Lydia's confession was a fresh wound. Emily hadn't just lied to me. She'd built a network of silence, people who chose her charm over honesty. I thanked Lydia, my voice flat, and she left. That night, I pulled out Emily's letter, rereading it under the kitchen's harsh light. "I'm sorry for every moment I took you for granted." The words felt hollow now, tainted by how many had enabled her. This wasn't just a cheating wife caught. It was a web of complicity I'd been blind to. I didn't confront Emily. Instead, I focused on Liam and my shops, pouring energy into routine. But the past kept knocking. At the next playground visit, Emily brought up the future. "Nathan, I'm getting a job," she said, her voice tentative. "I want to be someone Liam can be proud of. Can we co-parent?" The word felt like a trap. I'd lived through her caught cheating reaction, her overdose, her apologies. Could I trust her with Liam's heart? "We'll see," I said, keeping my tone neutral. She nodded, but her eyes held a flicker of hope I wasn't ready to meet. Grace, meanwhile, was becoming harder to keep at arm's length. One night, after a long day, we ended up on my porch, the air thick with cicadas. She told me about her own past. A marriage that ended not in betrayal but neglect. A slow drift that left her raising Mia alone. "I thought I'd never trust again," she said, her gaze steady. "But then I met you." My heart stuttered. I wanted to kiss her, to let go of Emily's shadow, but fear stopped me. What if I failed Grace the way I'd failed Emily? What if this cheating wife Reddit saga had broken me for good? The final turn came at a community festival. Liam was with Grace and Mia, painting pumpkins, when Emily showed up, uninvited but not unwelcome by Liam. She stayed at the edges, helping him carve a dinosaur shape, her laughter soft but real. I watched from a distance, torn. She wasn't the woman who'd shattered me at that anniversary table, but she wasn't a stranger either. When Liam ran to me, grinning, he said, "Mommy's fun today." The simplicity of it gutted me. Could I hate her when she was trying for him? Later, Grace found me by the festival's bonfire. "You're stuck, Nathan," she said, her voice firm but kind. "You don't have to choose between forgiving her and moving on. You can do both." Her words hit like a revelation. Forgiveness wasn't about Emily, it was about freeing myself. I looked at Grace, her face glowing in the firelight, and took her hand. "I'm trying," I said. She squeezed my fingers, a promise of patience. Months later, Emily got a job at a small marketing firm. Nothing like her old glory but steady. She kept up the playground visits, and Liam started talking about her without sadness. I didn't invite her back into our lives, but I stopped shutting her out. Grace and I grew closer, not rushing but building something real, Dinners, movie nights, moments where Liam and Mia felt like siblings. My coffee shops expanded. A new location opening downtown. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. One evening, I found myself alone on the porch, a rare quiet moment. The stars were bright, the air cool. I thought about that anniversary dinner, the folder of proof, the way I'd walked away. I thought strength was control, but now I saw it differently. Strength was letting go without losing myself. Emily's betrayal was a chapter, not the whole story. The heart doesn't heal by forgetting. It heals by choosing what to carry. I thought, a quiet truth that felt like closure. But closure isn't tidy. Emily was still Liam's mother, and Grace was a future I wanted but wasn't sure I deserved. Could I build something new while co-parenting with the woman who'd broken me? Should I let Emily back into Liam's life fully, or keep her at a distance? I looked at the stars, their light steady despite the years. What would you do when the past and future both demand a place in your heart? If this story stirred something in you, hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to Viora for more raw, real stories that don't shy away from the mess of life. Thanks for being here.